All right, so you can reach out to influencers by DM or email. Now, if you reach out by email, you can do it at scale. You can, send an email to a bunch of different influencers kind of in one go. I wouldn't BCC them or anything. Like use if you're a corporation, use whatever email system you guys normally use to send out bulk emails. Um, or if the platform supports that, go ahead and do that if you're using an influencer platform. Now, if they have an email listed in the bio, okay, if you're doing this by hand and you're not using a platform, if you're doing this all on Instagram, you're writing down old school Excel sheets, etc., you can reach out to them by email if the email is posted, and I would, because if people have an email posted, they more than likely expect that the anyone who sends an email is going to be about business, and then they're all the people who want to waste their time and want to just talk to the famous influencer is going to go to their DMs. So I would suggest going, especially when you hit that 100,000 follower mark, you need to be going for email. That being said, people with 300,000 followers, many of them still check their DMs. You'd be surprised, especially some of these influencers who are literally obsessed, where Instagram is their life. They'll, I know guys who have landed like gigs and jobs by reaching out to brands first of all, musicians in the range of hundreds of thousands of followers, and they responded via DMs. And then big fashion brands, they did client work by reaching out to their Instagram page. They had 7 million followers, and they replied and then got a gig from that, which is pretty crazy. So, anyways, just a side story that even the big accounts do check their DMs. Now, whatever you're doing, you want to keep it ultra short. Do not deter them by sending way too much information, way too many questions. If they have an agency if you're emailing an agency, of course, load it on them. So you can send as many questions as you want. They're going to respond because they want your money. If you're working with an individual influencer, many don't respond because they get so many requests and they're so in demand. Bump the mic there. They're so in demand that, and they're not very disciplined at the same time. They're self-employed, many of them, or they have a part-time job, and so they don't really care much about it. They're all over the map. So you're going to get some that won't respond or won't even read the email if it's too long. So send a one-liner. I drafted up something pretty straightforward. I represent, first of all, who do you represent? If this is by email, either way, you need to display authority. In the DMs, you need to have an account with thousands or tens of thousands of followers to actually get a good response, a reliable response rate. In the email, regular, I represent X. If it's a small company, a small Shopify store, still put that you represent a company and not just a kid wasting time. I represent whatever, Alpine vaping tools or something, whatever it is. And I was wondering if you just send over info about sponsored posts. So something like that would work just fine. Now, what you're going to get in return is they're going to send over like a pricing sheet. Generally, they're going to send over basically a legend of how their pricing works. So if you want to, generally shoutouts go by time. So you get a 1 hour shout out, 2 hour shout out, 4 hour shout out, 8 hour shout out, or 12 or 24. Like they'll choose certain amounts of those and offer those generally. And then some will offer a permanent shout out. So now would be a good time, I think. Actually, no, it wouldn't be. We're going to cover that in the future videos, exactly how much to pay, etc. And which of those you should choose. But they're going to send you back basically just a bunch of info, and then you're going to start going back and forth. So the main thing is here, if you have their email, hit their email. Don't be afraid of hitting their DMs either. You could try both, but keep your outreach very, very short and display authority with whatever you do. See you in the next video.